One of the lines we say in the Apostles' Creed gives some people pause. When we say he descended into hell, some people blanch at the thought. Christ went to hell? How can that be? But it turns out this one little phrase may be one of the most comforting lines in the entire creed. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Saturday, April 8th, 2023. All this week we have followed Jesus from his entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, to some of his conflicts with the religious authorities, to his final meal with his disciples, and finally to the cross of Calvary. Tomorrow we'll celebrate the resurrection. Where does that leave us today, though? Jesus died yesterday and is resurrected tomorrow. There's nothing he does today, right? Well, not so fast. Yes, he's in the tomb, but that doesn't mean he's not active. When it comes to the line in the Apostles' Creed, there are, broadly speaking, two ways to interpret it. One way is to say that when Jesus descended into hell, it means that in his anguish on the cross, he experienced all the anguish we feel in life. For even in this life, the thinking goes, we go through periods that make us feel as though we were already living in hell. We call it a living hell. In his suffering and death, Jesus experiences in both physical and an emotional sense the living hell we sometimes experience. But there is another, more literal interpretation of this line, and that is that between his death and resurrection, Christ literally visited the place of the dead, sometimes called hell, where he did an amazing thing. The letter 1 Peter puts it this way: For Christ also suffered for sins once for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, in order to bring you to God. He was put to death in the flesh, but made alive in the Spirit, in which also he went and made a proclamation to the spirits in prison, who did not in former times obey when God waited patiently in the days of Noah, during the building of the ark, in which a few, that is, 8 persons, were saved through water. And baptism, which this prefigured, now saves you, not as a removal of dirt from the body, but as an appeal to God for a good conscience through the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God, with angels, authorities, and powers made subject to him. Peter's testimony here is that Jesus was not simply lying in the tomb on Saturday, but that he was active in ministry, freeing the souls, specifically of those who died before the flood. But there's a more important point here. 2, actually. First, there is no place where we can go where God is not. God is the creator of all things. As such, there is no place in the created order over which he does not have ultimate dominion. Even if we think of hell as the place ruled by Satan, Satan's rule is not absolute. Satan's rule is ultimately broken, and God rules over his former realm. The prophet Jonah found out this truth when he tried to escape God's call for him to prophesy in Nineveh. Psalm 139 says it this way: Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. If I say, Surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. In other words, there is no place we can go in life or in death where we are beyond God's gracious reach. A second point follows from this first, and that is, there is no time when we are beyond God's gracious reach. One of my seminary professors, Paul Ochtermeyer, once suggested in class and wrote in his commentary on 1 Peter that the fact that Christ preaches salvation to the long dead spirits of the most evil generation in human history, the very ones whose behavior triggered God to flood the earth, if Christ does that, then it follows there is no time when we are beyond God's gracious reach. Not even our own death itself closes us off from God's grace. If you think this is a breathtaking statement, you're correct. But it is exactly what is at stake here. On this day, when we wait with hopeful expectation for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, it is worth remembering today just how far the grace of God extends. For on this day, when the earthly Jesus lies dormant in the tomb, the heavenly Christ is hard at work saving the souls of the dead. When we return on Monday, we'll explore the various accounts of what Jesus did after the resurrection. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.